Hey everyone, it's Erica with Mappy Hour Chicago and Mappy Hour National here for another Maker Series interview today with Sarah Vander Neut from Vander Jackets. And I'm super excited to bring her on here real quick. And before I do, I wanted to just thank everyone for tuning in. Every month this year, we've been featuring makers from throughout the Mappy Hour community. We've been featuring, makers who do this as a part-time thing, makers who do this as a full-time thing, and really just celebrating the creative talents of both people who love the outdoors, live in the city, and are going on creative endeavors to make products and meaningful brands that reach out to our community and the Mappy Hour community at large. So really excited to have Sarah today. Big thank you to Sierra Nevada, who sponsors this series. And a quick note that we are in the midst of planning for all of our 2023 events. We're very excited for the new year to host field trips and speaker series and more of these maker series, hopefully in the new year. So stay tuned on mappyhour.org for events coming up in your city, and let us know if you have any ideas along the way. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Sarah. She's a maker based in Denver area, Aurora, Colorado, and she makes jackets that are completely custom, recycled, and cater to mostly the running community. So we're really excited to have her on. So bringing her in now.
Hey.
Hey, Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, of course. We're super excited. Very big fan of just been seeing these jackets and these photos you've been sharing with us, and really excited to learn about your process today and what inspired you to create the brand. So I guess kicking it off, just would love to hear more about you, what you do, and a little bit about Vander Jackets.
Yeah. Well, first, thanks to everyone who's tuning in and also to Sierra Nevada. I just really appreciate the platform to share about my company. Vander Jacket is, as you said, based in Denver, and we're really intensely local. All of our running jackets are made in Denver, and we're really committed to that. And that makes us pretty unique as a running apparel company. It's really hard to even just find American made running apparel. But not only are we American made, we're centrally located. And so it's not really an exaggeration to say that we're your local running company. Even to someone who's in Chicago, we're so close comparatively to other running apparel companies. So just really proud of that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so do you, does the company have a storefront? Are you working at home? Like, what is the environment like at Vander Jackets?
Oh, yeah. So it's in my home, it's in my basement, and I'm making down there every day. We do original jackets for men and women where I make them one at a time, and just each design is different. That's the way I made the Mappy Hour jacket. And we also make what we call the Denver microbrew, which is a small batch style of jacket that's made in downtown Denver. And there are multiples of those, which is great because that way we can do a style in multiple sizes and make people happy, fit them in the right jacket. With our one of a kinds, they're really special, but if it's not your size, like, you're out of luck. And if it is your size, it's your lucky day. So, it's just kind of like that. Yeah.
Are the jackets like size, standard, like you might make small, medium, large sizes, but just what inventory you have will depend? Or how does the sizing work for your jackets?
Yeah, totally. We really want to reach every person, so we have a women's extra, extra small to extra large in our original styles. For men, we do a small to extra large. And then we also have kind of a custom season in January. But we do sell online. So to answer your first question, we have a website. It's vanderjacket.com. And then on Instagram, you can see, like, this is what we made this week. This is what I made today. This is what I'm working on. And it's just more instant, which is really fun. And then also we do like little race expos, at the end of a race or a big race. We'll be there with the tent selling jackets, but we don't have a brick and mortar store. There have been a couple times where we've popped into a space. Post COVID, there are some empty retail spaces, and usually can work out a deal with a landlord and come in for a week, and we do that and we sell. But then we kind of disappear because we're too small to really sustain a store. We have to go make we have to go make more. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Well, I was just at the Chicago Marathon a few weekends ago, and
Awesome.
I've seen a couple of my friends' races. Couldn't be me out there, but I appreciate like supporting my friends who are crazy enough to do something epic like that. But I admittedly don't know a ton about like what makes a running jacket a running jacket. So I'd love to like learn about that and educate people about that a little bit, and then dive into like what makes Vander Jackets unique
Yeah.
compared to other jackets that you might find in running stores.
Yeah, for sure. I'll use the Mappy Hour jacket to show you some of the features we do. Um, I'm a runner, so that's like my design point of view. When I started the business, it was literally I started making jackets because I was running, thinking about how can I make a jacket that's more functional for me. And jackets are expensive, so if I could make my own, that would be really helpful. So
Mhm.
it was more like I just wanted a jacket to serve my purposes. But now we have the same kind of function in every jacket. So this is the Mappy Hour jacket that I created, and
So
it's
cool.
it's so cool. It has like these awesome Sierra Nevada patches. Whoops, here we go. Oh, there it is. Wait,
That's awesome.
no, sorry. Wait.
It is very confusing.
It is confusing. Here's another one. This is a good one.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
and then
love the play on the colors too.
yeah, and then the
And our
Matthew.
Mappy Hour patch. Yeah, from Stitch
Yeah,
Back Stories from last month's Maker Series.
yeah. And so um, for me, I think a running jacket always has to have reflective. So this one,
Mhm.
the gray stripes are reflective. My time to run is almost always in the dark, except for some months of the summer. That's just my time to run. And so I'm always going to prioritize that reflective on the front and back. And I always do a fitted hood so that if you don't have a hat, you have that available. A lot of places, weather will come in and you need a hood, for half an hour and then you don't need it. And then you need it again. And so it's nice to have a hood to be available.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always do on the cuffs, I always do thumb holes for the same reason. So you kind of have a built-in glove like that
Mhm.
right here.
Yeah, which I don't have.
And honestly, like I just cuff back if I don't need it and it's hot, but
Mhm.
that way you have some hand coverage. But what good is a glove if it's covering your awesome, running watch?
Oh wow.
You know,
That's
you,
cool.
yeah, you've got to have, if you're going to have a running watch, you've got to have a jacket that serves that purpose. And we always do a watch hole on both sides.
That's so cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, people have these amazing, it's a computer like on your arm.
Right.
And then if the fabric is covering it, it's a loss. So
Yeah.
we always do that. And then I think another thing that's really special about a Vander jacket is the pocket here. As you can see, it's kind of like a C shape.
Yeah.
Super easy to just slip your hand in. You don't have to fiddle with the zipper.
Hmm.
When I'm cold and I'm out there running, like my fingers do not work. I cannot grip a zipper and do that. I just want to be able to slide my hand into the pocket and get what I need. And I also want the pocket to be really deep and really generous so that the phone is safe here if you run with the phone.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we always do a back pocket in the same way too, which is great for your cyclists, your hikers.
Hmm.
Um, see if sorry if I can show you.
Yeah, I see. It's kind of like a reverse pocket, right?
Yeah, and so that way, you can stash a water flask back there. You can put treats back there, dog treats. You can,
Mm-hmm.
put back there what you need. So those are the function we always put in every Vander jacket. And then
That's
in terms of style, like we always change that, but the function's always the same. So, yeah.
yeah, that's so cool. And like those little secret, cubbies and the watch, holder or watch window. It's like pretty cool to walk through that with you. I'm curious too, I in researching what you all make, there's a lot of talk too about your products being recycled and upcycled fabrics, I think. But I'd love to learn more about like where does the fabric come from and how do you, piece these pieces together if that's the case.
Yeah, totally. When I started making jackets, I had no idea how to source fabric. And
Mhm.
just out of necessity, I would just buy unused fabric at a thrift store. And there's like a good, group of thrift stores in Denver. It's a great place to thrift. I would
Mm-hmm.
just do that constantly. And I would look for like a polyester. I'd especially look for like vintage polyester that really stood out to
Mm-hmm.
me, the patterns, and it's easy to sew with. It's actually really great to run in because say what you will, but it's wicking. It
Mm-hmm.
really blocks the wind. The old man pants style, like polyester from the 70s, is great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I did that for a few years, just sourcing fabric and really finding enough in the Denver area. And then I realized like this is a really green practice what I'm doing here. I'm taking like excess fabric in the area and putting it to work. I'll give you an idea of how green our sourcing practices are. Because our original jackets we use unused excess fabric, not only found in thrift stores now, but also just like the odd roll from other gear companies in our area. We will buy that, or people will companies will give it to us, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case. We'll take that and we'll make a jacket. So think to yourself, each jacket is probably a yard and a half to 2 yards of fabric.
Mm.
And at this point, so I sign all the jackets
Oh,
and sign and number them. So
is that
this
written on there or is that stitched?
it's written on there. I used
Okay.
to paint it on, but, but then I found like some good fabric pins.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a piece of artwork. So,
Yeah. So the number is 1639.
wow.
So, and I'm on today. I worked on jacket 1737. Like
Wow.
that was what I finished up at the end of the day. So if you multiply that by like a yard to 2 yards of fabric, that's a lot of fabric that would have just been what they call dead stock fabric. It doesn't have a purpose anymore. It's in an area and it's literally just sitting there. That is waste, and we're using it up. And not only using it up, but hopefully making something really fun that people are wearing during their healthiest hour of their day. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of cool. We're
Super.
not saving lives, but it's a good cause. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so important for people to be, purchasing things they really love and know will are making an impact for the better and also will last and are thought of and not just mass produced. So I feel like, yeah, you guys are making something really cool and I'm sure a lot of runners are like really thankful for. And it's cool to hear like the use cases for hiking and stuff too, which I never thought of. So that's really awesome. And so like what is the sewing process like? You mentioned you're sewing like jacket 1700 something.
Yeah.
Are you down there all day like sewing? Like are you designing new product? Like what is that creative process like in the actual production of the jacket?
Yeah. So, for years I would just make each jacket one of a kind, and then start a new one. And I had my designs worked out that I would use as kind of a base. And I still do that. So I still have my designs, and I design each jacket that's an original and sew it together. I sew the front and the back and the sleeves and the hood. And then I
Mhm.
put it in a bundle and I kick it over to my assistant Judith, and she's an excellent seamstress, and she finishes up. So she will put the sleeves on, she'll put the front and back together, and she'll put the hood on and the zipper in. And the great thing about it is I think I have the good part, and she thinks she has the good part. You know,
You
that's how
balance each
you know
other.
you have a good partner, right? So, yeah, so I'll make like several bundles like that per day. Well, on my sewing day. The rest of the
Mhm.
days I have to like run the company, but
Right.
so a few days I do that, and I make like we call them jacket packs,
Okay.
and Judith will get them and she'll work on them and finish them.
Okay.
And yeah, and then because I did that for so long, I think I made 1,000 before I put my designs into like a digital computer program and started having them made in downtown Denver. So all of the Denver microbrew jackets are made with like patterns that I refined basically by making 1,000 prototypes first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's a lower grade jacket if you want to say that, because we make small batches, but
Mm.
it's still an extremely high quality, and it's
Mm-hmm.
literally miles from my house, and I know every person on the team who sews those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why is it called microbrew? Is it like small batch, like a play on small batch?
Yeah, it's a small batch. So like I think a lot of people they've heard of like, oh, Denver microbrew,
Right.
breweries. Well, this is very on brand for Mappy Hour.
As I'm drinking my
Yeah,
beer.
yeah. And we just want to convey like it's a small batch. We're using remnant fabric
Mm.
um, that we source, and once it's gone, like we can't make it anymore. Once
Yeah.
the batch has sold, and these batches are about like 60 garments, per style, and then they're gone, and that's pretty small. And we do have some independent running stores. We have about 15 independent running stores that carry our Denver microbrew
Oh,
line.
nice.
Yeah, and it's better for a running store environment because they get the multiple sizes.
Mm-hmm.
But our original jackets, those are on our website.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are there other cities besides Denver that you find folks, just like trending towards running more? Or like, are there other cities that you guys are more deeply rooted in than others? I'm just curious because I know there's quite a few running groups here in Chicago and just the lakeshore access people running long distance on the trail there. But I'm just curious since we have other cities and people tuning in from all over the place.
For sure. Chicago is such a huge running community.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would love to have an independent running store representing us there. We don't yet have that.
Mm-hmm.
We have running stores. Boise, Idaho is actually a really good running community. Bend, Oregon is where I grew up. There's a store there that carries Vander Jackets. A lot of runners there. Eugene, Oregon. Davenport, Iowa, another Midwest place.
Hmm.
Good running community there. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Salt Lake City has a pretty good running area. So
Cool.
these are places that we have store partners. So those are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah.
But I know, like across the U.S., there's such good runners, like rabid runners in Texas and on the
Mhm.
East Coast. And the Manhattan runners, I feel like New York City really band together because it's just harder to do. Like,
Mhm.
there. And so in some of these areas, I feel like the running communities are really strong, even though we don't have like Vander Jackets in the store out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Super cool. Uh,
Yeah.
so how would you describe like the community of people who are, like I imagine that you've got followers and you have people who are big Vander Jacket fans. Like, are these like rugged trail runners? Are these like city runners? Are these people doing marathons? Like, I'm curious if you've noticed just the community that you've been able to build. Where do people trend and like what types of activities and running are people doing?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I feel like we attract all kinds of runners. Like, it just amazes me. There are a few runners who are definitely elite marathoners, fast folks who wear Vander jackets, and I'm just like amazed at their pain threshold.
Yeah.
And then we've got like trail runners who are just they're doing the 100-mile race. They're
Mhm.
doing a 50K, and it's awe-inspiring. And then you have everyone in between. You have the high school runner, the lucky high school runner whose parents bought them a Vander jacket, you know, um, and then also people who are starting running. Some people, they literally will tell me, I'm buying this jacket because it's going to help me get out the door. And that just that really touches me,
Mm.
because I think, if what I'm making is helping somebody make a positive choice in their life and that leads to change, like that's amazing.
Mm.
That gets me real excited. So
Yeah, that's an amazing, piece of information. And it
yeah.
kind of like I'm curious too, like, I imagine that's inspiring for you to like want to keep creating so that more runners are inspired to get out. But are there any other places like you tend to draw inspiration for your jackets, or ways you stay motivated to keep making and coming up with new ideas?
Yeah, totally. This is like, it doesn't seem related, but I love movies.
Yeah.
I love Wes Anderson movies. I feel like he has colors in his movies that always inspire me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
And really just going on a run, seeing the sunrise, and just like mentally taking note of the color palette that I see on a rock, or even in an urban setting,
Yeah,
gray tones and then like signage. This kind of stuff really inspires me. Old kind of vintage sport posters and ski posters I find really inspirational too. So
that's super cool.
yeah, yeah.
And have you always been in Denver? Like, have you lived other places too? And like, what has that been like?
Yeah, I've lived around. I grew up in Bend, Oregon. It was not cool at the time. It was very small, logging town.
Yeah.
And then I went to Baylor for to go to fashion design school.
Oh, cool.
I didn't quite fit in with the culture in Texas, being a Northwesterner.
Mhm.
So I kind of did a life change, changed my major to just fine art painting. This is one of my paintings behind me.
Oh, wow. It literally looks like a photograph. It's
Oh,
amazing.
oh, I went to Boise State and finished up at Boise State with a painting degree. Moved out to Denver, Colorado to go to Denver Seminary. I have a very zigzag path.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
super interesting.
yeah. Went to Denver Seminary to study philosophy and met my husband, and I taught art for 1 year at high school, and then I just kind of came back to my first love, which is just sewing and color, and I decided, I have to, if I'm gonna make clothes, it has to be something really relevant and really functional, because that's how people are in Colorado. And so
Mhm.
I just really focused on one type of clothing, just a jacket for runners. And as it turns out, the functions I mentioned, it's good
Mhm.
for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So yeah.
very, very cool.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like, are you designing new jackets, or do you have any projects coming up that are exciting, that
Yeah.
you'd love to talk about?
Yeah, I'm super excited. We're having some new jackets being made. I just finished up the designs for those, and they're going to come out in 2023. We're
Mm.
doing more like runner tanks and like
Mm.
singlets. It's a weird runner word, but like a singlet, like a tank top you race in. We're going to do more of those for people who aren't wearing jackets as much. They're running in
Mhm.
the southern states, or the Southwest, or the like East Coast South. And then I'm working on some windbreaker designs.
Oh, cool.
I showed you kind of a soft shell style track jacket, which we're known for. But for a lot of people, they really just need like a windbreaker layer, or they'll have a season where that's really what they need. And so I'm working on that. There's a Patagonia jacket called the Houdini, and it's super lightweight,
Mm.
and it's like a little bit water resistant. It's not waterproof, and it's a windbreaker, and it packs really small.
Mm.
And for me, like, that's a design that I want to emulate and put a
Mhm.
Vander Jacket spin on,
Mhm.
because I think they have a good thing going. And we'll remix it and we'll make it Vander Jacket, but something
Mhm.
like that for the windbreakers. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
having something super versatile that you can bring not only on your run, but like, yeah, pack that when you're going hiking or something seems like, or biking or something like that seems super relevant.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. Well, we always like to ask too, like, since a lot of makers tune in who've been on here before, and just our community is inherently creative, people are always inspired by the outdoors and making new things and coming up with new ideas. But we like to ask our makers for advice for folks who are pursuing their own creative endeavor, or are inspired through conversation like this, and like what you would advise people who are new or seasoned in being a maker. Like, what advice do you have for them?
Oh man, Erica, I think I could go off on this for a really long time. I just want to tell like everybody who's tuning in, part of being human is being creative. If anyone told you you're not creative, they're wrong.
Mm.
That's
Mhm.
part of being human. We all get dressed every day. That's a creative endeavor. And it's a really beautiful thing to dress in a way that functionally suits your life. But there are creative choices throughout our entire day, including like what hike are we going to take? Like, how are
Mhm.
we going to work around this obstacle or this weather pattern or whatever the case? That's all creative endeavors. And, I think it's like so helpful to just put your finger on like, what are the creative choices I make in my day every day? And it doesn't matter what you do for an occupation, like you're making some creative choices just to get your stuff done at the end of the day. Like, to feed the dog or pick up the kids, like how are you going to get it done? That's a creative framework, and just lean into that. And I think there's so much that people are capable of. Creative minds are there and they're just waiting to be used. So
Mm. That's awesome. Yeah. It's sometimes, yeah, you'll hit those mental blocks or like not really sure where to draw inspiration from, but I feel like not forcing it is kind of key too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Not trying to push it too much. So cool. Let's see. I feel like I had one more question for you. Uh, it's missing. It's missing right now. But is there anything else I didn't ask that you feel like you want to share?
Well, when do we find out who wins this awesome
Oh,
jacket?
yes, that's a great reminder. Yes, the jacket giveaway is still open through the end of the day. And so essentially, yeah, tomorrow morning, we're going to be going through all the comments from the reel from Sarah and the video of showing how the jacket was put together. And yeah, we'll have the winning jacket winner get sent that jacket probably next week or so. So yeah, we'll be picking tomorrow morning the winner for the jacket.
That's awesome. I hope you win it.
Cool. Well, I always like to end these conversations with like a rapid fire round of questions. So we'll jump right into that if you're cool with it.
Yeah, let's do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's a dream runner you would love to have wearing a Vander jacket one day?
Kathy Switzer.
Kathy Switzer.
Yeah, first woman to run the Boston Marathon.
Mm.
Tried to be ejected by the race director, but her friends kind of blocked this guy. This was in the 60s. And
Wow.
she's an inspiration. I would love it if she was wearing one.
Wow. Super cool. Where is your favorite place to run?
Oh, I like running on the river trail in Bend, Oregon. Plus, there's the Deschutes Brewery is right on there. So if
Ooh.
you ever get to go, River Trail, Deschutes Brewery, Bend Distillery is there too. It's gorgeous. And the bark tip path from the pine trees is so soft. Like if your knees are bad, this is where you want to be running. So
Oh, that sounds amazing.
yeah.
Cool. How about, do you have a favorite pump up song for your runs?
I really like The Distance by Cake.
Sweet. Awesome. Also very, yeah, good name for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Cool. And then are you traveling next? And if that's the case, where are you going?
Yeah, so my next travel is to Austin, Texas, which is going to be really fun. The Run event is a big like running trade show, and we're going down there. It's our first time, little company to wave our little flag and be like, "Hey, we exist." So hopefully it'll be good.
So
Yeah.
cool. Well, yeah, that was a fun rapid fire round. I am definitely going to check out that trail, maybe hike it instead of run it, but pit stop at Deschutes in Oregon. And I've just really loved getting to know you a little bit more. And I'm going to actually literally jump off the computer when I get done with this and go check out those microbrew jackets, because that sounds super cool.
Awesome.
And the stuff on the website. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we're really lucky to have you here.
It's great to talk with you, Erica. Thanks for giving me the time.
Of course. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time then.
See you later.
Bye.